a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
Much of the struggles is feeling like this is the way it's going to be from this point on. And if it's really dark and difficult, like it was for me as a child at times, I would always think ahead. All right, this hospital admission is going to be over and I'm going to be able to walk around freely again, or I'm going to graduate high school and I'm going to get away from, the home situation I didn't like. And I would focus on that. And that helped me.
I want to invite you into the Business Network, my free school community for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to grow their network and scale their business. Inside, you'll get step-by-step lessons, monthly workshops, feedback, scripts, resources, bonuses, and a community of like-minded people who believe in helping each other win. Join us today at school.com/thebusinessnetwork and click Join Group. I'll see you inside.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and we're going to talk about a great story. Have you ever thought about going to Europe, going to Spain, and your background, your story as a child has led you to so many different things, and captivity, and we'll get into all that. It's going to be an interesting story, and I think you're going to love it. But before we start, here's your gratitude for today. You're strong, you're amazing, you can handle any obstacle that comes your way. Very true, because every human has that capability of doing that, especially my guest. Let's bring my guest on. Eliza, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the book, because I think that's a great way to start.
Okay. So I've written a book called Life in Captivity. It's in the process of being published as we speak. It is a memoir about my childhood, which was both unique and difficult at the same time. I was the first diagnosed case of something called hypervitaminosis A, which is an overdose of vitamin A. And I ended up in that situation because I was born in 1967, and at the end of that year, there was a pandemic called the Hong Kong flu. And I got sick as a little infant. And both my parents are artists. My dad was just doing his art thing, not really parenting. And my mom had gotten this book by this nutritionist called Adele Davis. And it was like, let's have healthy kids. And in it, it promoted vitamins as like the cure-all. And we've all seen health trends. Well, this was brand new. And now when you buy vitamin A, it's sold as beta carotene. It's a form that if you took a whole bottle of it, you would just expel it all out, pee it all out, basically. But back then it was fat soluble. So the vitamins could build up. And what happened was I just had an extreme amount. My mom just didn't intend, of course, to hurt me, but gave me way too much, and it calcified my bones and caused these problems. And at 3 months, I got hospitalized, and they took all the vitamin A out of my system, and I stayed in there. And they thought, well, maybe she's fine, maybe she's not. They had no idea. So at about a year age, I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up because my bones weren't strong enough to hold my body weight. And so then that ensued this whole complicated, lots and lots of surgeries between infancy to 18 years old. I had over 20 on my legs. This was back when you would go into the hospital for a very long time on average. Now you go in the morning of your surgery, and sometimes you're out the same day. But back then you would go in a couple of days before, and I would stay for months. So at the same time that was happening, there was a very contentious divorce between my parents. My father blamed my mom. And then there started to be, my father kidnapped me from my mother 4 separate times. My mother
Yeah.
took me once. I don't even consider her a kidnapping because she went to the court and says, "What happens if I take my child?" And they're like, "It's a civil matter. We'll do nothing." But my father was a narcissist and could not handle this. And so he complained to the FBI so much that they put a warrant out for her arrest if she would apply for a passport. And that's what happened. So she got arrested. So it was like very back and forth. So the captivity that I reference in the title is a combination of the physical limitations, my legs, I had a lot of traction, crutches, all that stuff, and also the being tossed back and forth. And then the last time I was kidnapped was when I was 9. My dad took me to New York City, and I was like cut off from the rest of my family. And so that was another form of captivity. At the same time that all that intensity was happening, it was also a unique time. Things that wouldn't be duplicated today, which to me is part of what makes the story interesting. Like medical care is not done this way anymore. You don't go into the hospital for that long. I had medical records that got lost and misplaced. Everything's digital now. Like there's different things. Also, state laws. It used to be that if my father took me from New York to Massachusetts, my mother had custody in New York. Massachusetts wouldn't honor that. All of these things have changed. So it's a story that wouldn't happen the same way. And the process of writing it was because I knew it was a unique story, but I resisted it because I don't like to stay in the negative. I always am looking ahead.
Yep.
But
It's
I
good.
finally realized that I had to deal with it. And it was when I had a medical issue as an adult. I got breast cancer. And I realized that I got breast cancer because my father died in 2001. I went to New York to deal with his estate, and 9/11 happened a mile away.
Yeah.
And so I was present for 9/11, which 17 years later gave me breast cancer. And realizing that I had another medical issue connected to my father and my past was like, okay, I will write this book. I will do this. Just heal me of the, I'm talking to Great Spirit or whatever you want to call. And so that's how I ended up writing it. But the process of writing was so healing.
Yeah.
It really helped me see, like, it released so much shame and so much pain that I had held on to. And that's what's led me into pursuing this long held dream of living in Europe.
Yeah. What's your health like right now?
It's very good. I mean,
Good.
I have a leg length discrepancy, and my bones are not normally formed. So I walk crooked. I can't stand for long periods of time. But I push myself very hard, and so I do a lot more than my doctors can even explain because I've just always been proactive. And the cancer it was through the diagnosis of the cancer that I discovered that it was connected to 9/11 because I didn't actually have to have chemo or radiation, thank God. It
Yep.
was a very abnormal one, and that's when I realized, oh, something's unusual, and I kind of played detective and figured it out.
Figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what could you tell the audience? You've been through stories incredible.
thanks.
You've been through resilience, hardship,
Yeah,
all kinds of things. What's the first thing you would tell the audience how to overcome their challenges? Because everybody has challenges.
right. All right, well, here's a little thing that I do that has been really valuable to me. It's very simple. I think about back a year in the past, and then I imagine a year in the future. Because a year as an adult anyway is a manageable amount of time to see some great change. So for me, a year ago, I didn't even know I was going to do this Spain trip. I didn't know that I hadn't figured it out yet. I was still searching. And
Yep.
a year from now, I'll be acclimated in my new life. So it's important for me to think that way because nothing lasts forever. And so much of the struggles is feeling like this is the way it's going to be from this point on. And if it's really dark and difficult, like it was for me as a child at times, I would always think ahead. All right, this hospital admissions is going to be over and I'm going to be able to walk around freely again, or I'm going to graduate high school and I'm going to get away from, the home situation I didn't like. And I would focus on that, and that helped me. So that's one thing. And one other thing is really focus on the positive in your life, to like, if you imagine like when you're adjusting a television set and you're boosting the saturation, boost it up as high so it's the brightest thing, because the negative is always the loudest voice in our head. I mean, we're designed that way, right? We want to escape danger. We want to run away from that bear that's chasing us way back in the day. So those fears are louder. So you have to do the opposite. So that's something else I did, was I always focused on the positive, even if it was just like, oh, the sun's out today, and the rest sucks,
Little
but the
things.
sun's out today.
Yeah, the little things positively make a difference. And for
Mhm.
everybody. That's just agnostic to every human in the world, no matter where you're from. Your parenting, it sounds like you're a wonderful parent. What did you learn from your story to make you a better parent?
Um, well, my father was extremely manipulative, and even though I've learned through the process of writing the book, I have learned to accept the things that are similar between us. I purposely, of course, didn't want any of his anger, but I think the most important is I'm allowing my children to be who they are and not trying to make them to be a mini version of myself, or to follow what I believed. I was very good student in school. Part of it was because I was so shy and didn't know how to relate to friends, so I just focused on school. And you could imagine that for that reason, I might push my kids to have straight A's because that was a benchmark that was important to me. But I purposely have not done that. And they're both going in wonderful directions on their own. And I appreciate that I'm giving them the chance and not forcing them into, like, the square peg into the round hole, kind of like, this is what I mean, we all have things that we could improve, but I'm pretty happy about the relationship that I have with them. And I think it's because I'm allowing them to be individuals.
Sounds like you put them first too. That's the
Yes.
other thing. Your
Hmm.
parents seem to be all about them. I'm just guessing here, hearing your
Yeah.
story.
Very,
They didn't
yeah.
put you first. They like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm the mother. You have to be. I'm the dad. I'm going to steal. Is the wrong word.
Right.
He kidnapped you basically, is what she did,
Yeah.
or he did.
Hmm.
Excuse.
Yeah.
And it just teach you that from the book. How are you going to serve the readers when they read this book?
Well, I think it is an incredible story. It's a story with some real unusual little highlight things. I started off with my witnessing 9/11 because I saw it. I woke up to the towers falling. But the message in that first chapter is that, as intense as this event was for me personally, it wasn't the most intense experience I went through. Um, I think the message I want to share with people and why I'm telling the story is that you're not alone. Our stories are all different. I experience my particular type of trauma, my experience, and how I react to it is unique to me. But someone else can experience a completely different thing. Maybe their family and parents are together the whole time, but they're very unwilling to show their emotions. Maybe they
Yeah.
never have said "I love you" to everyone has their baggage. And it is your responsibility to deal with it, even if it was caused by someone else. I can't spend my life blaming someone else because I'm never going to get past it. I'm going to stay in it. Right. So it happened.
Yep.
It gave me some negative things. It did give me some positive things too. I wouldn't be who I am. So you have to accept this is your path. This is what's happened. But it doesn't mean that that's what you have ongoing. Like, you can choose where you go in the future. You can't change what you've gone through, but you can
Right.
choose, and so here I am in the middle of this move, and part of me is like, I don't have time to get this book published right now. I'm trying to move to another country. But I also know that once I get there, I'm going to allow myself to be a new person. And if I don't
Yeah.
do this now, I might not want to anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like understanding that we're always in a cycle, and accept yourself. We're gonna have these that's how we grow, right? These ups and downs. But but be kind to yourself. And I think that's what the message is, certainly as the book ends, is me
Yeah.
kind of learning. Because I really had a different viewpoint. I carried a lot of guilt, like I had made this decision, that I
Right.
had caused things. And it's not true. I was a child, so I
No,
didn't.
the victim game doesn't help you
Right,
at all. And
right.
a lot of people do that, especially now
Hmm.
with the world it is. There's so much fear out
Yes.
there with 10 million. I mean, I could pick 10 subjects and go, people are
Hmm.
fearful of this, this, and this. Would you call yourself resilient?
It's funny you say that, because the last podcast I did, someone said, give me one word to describe, and that was the word I chose. And
Yeah.
I feel that that is probably the biggest skill I have to survive things, is just not letting it beat me down. Sometimes I have to take a step back and I have to lick my wounds and recover, but I don't give up. And I see it through. And I think that makes a difference, because you'll see in the story, I have these ups and downs. I'm in the hospital, I'm out, I'm with one parent, I'm with the other. Things are good, then things are bad, but it's knowing that it's not just one note, because that isn't how life is, you
Hmm.
know?
It's not. And you mentioned story a lot of times, which I love because stories are what really educate and motivate,
Mhm.
inspire people. That's why I love podcasting. When did you realize the story needed to be written in a book?
I actually first started writing my autobiography when I was 12. I
Wow.
have like a couple of pages of it written, and then I would kept trying. I always knew it had to be told, because every time I would tell even a little bit of it, people would be like, "Oh my God, you got to tell that story. This is crazy." Um, and yet I resisted it so long, because I didn't want to be the, oh, poor me, this happened to me. I just never defined myself that way. Like, yes, I had this stuff in it, but for me, it was almost more like the uniqueness of it, not the tragedy of it. And I just couldn't figure out for a long time to get myself to really push to do it. I just couldn't figure out why it mattered to everybody else so much, until I had the breast cancer and I realized it was like something I was putting off. And I just felt like it was the universe saying, by the way, you haven't gotten to this yet. Get this out of the way. And it took me 7 years to fully write it. And I probably wrote 3 books, and then I had to cut it down. But in that time, I grew so much as a person. I learned so much about myself. I've gotten much more confident and comfortable. And now I'm going towards my dream life. I mean, you couldn't
Yeah.
get a much better result than that, right?
No. And mental health experts I've interviewed have all told me telling your story, whether it's a book, speaking gigs, whatever that looks like, is a healing experience. It's what
Oh,
I'm hearing from
100%.
you.
It was, yeah. And I recommend it to people, even if they don't have to make a published book, even if they just write
Yeah.
it for themselves. There's something about putting it on paper that makes it real. And, I think that's why I wrote so much in the beginning and I had to cut it down. It was like I almost wanted to prove to the world, yes, this really happened. And so I said it like over and over. And then when I look back on it, I was like, I don't have to prove this.
Yeah.
It did. Let's focus on what is the story I want to tell. How do I want to guide the reader to the key points, and that's what finally emerged in the seventh year, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's 7 years, long time, but it goes quick, as you
Yeah,
probably experienced.
yeah,
And
for
we're
sure.
coming to the end here.
Mhm.
What do you want this legacy of this book to look like, and your second book that's coming out after?
I want people to know that dreams are possible, like they're
Mm,
achievable. And I want them to know that their trauma and their negative experiences don't limit them from being happy. Like I think the message sometimes is that if you're happy, you're not acknowledging that pain, like it didn't matter. No, it did. All those things can happen, but you can still allow joy in your heart, And I want to give people that hope that like they read it and they go, oh my God, this was crazy, all this stuff. And then look, I'm off to live this dream that I wanted my whole life to live in Europe. I don't know why, but I always wanted to, and I just set it aside as not possible. And I want people to know no matter what your story is, it's worth being told, and you can also rise above it.
Yep. And comparing's not good, but in this case it is. They look at your story and haven't been through all you've been through, and they want to move to Spain or Europe or make a
Or
move across the
whatever.
street, whatever that
Yeah,
dream looks like, it can
exactly.
still be done and give lesser of trauma, which you had, makes it
Mhm.
easier. Just made it harder
Yeah,
for you. That's all.
yeah, and I think that it's easier when you're looking for your dream, focus on the feeling of it. Like I focused on wanting to have more creativity in my life, wanting to have less financial pressure. I didn't focus on, I want to get to Spain. I focused on that. And then I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know if I was going to be taking an RV around the country. I didn't know if I was going to be moving some, down the street. I didn't know something was going to
Yep.
change. And so sometimes too, it's like letting go of control. Well, it has to be this, this, this. No, what's the feeling? If the feeling is joy, focus on that and let the universe present it in what is right for you.
Absolutely. Push the negative aside and live in the joy.
Exactly.
Let's end with a fun question. So I'm going to
Okay.
reserve a table at a restaurant, your favorite restaurant, whatever that is. You're going to invite three people, influential people who changed your life, whether dead or alive. And what food would you order for the table? Because I love to eat.
Oh, goodness. Uh, well, I'm gonna probably pick some unusual people. James Joyce, because when I was 16, I was given my father gave me a lot of books, and I read Ulysses, despite the fact everyone told me it was too hard. It was pretty hard, but I would love to pick his brain because it's an unusual one. Uh, Caravaggio, who is a Italian painter, very interesting painter who actually did all these crazy art and was convicted of murder and stuff. He would be a fascinating person to
Oh,
to have at the table. And trying to think, Katharine Hepburn.
ooh, a diva.
Very, very
Very nice.
smart, independent woman. Yeah. So those are,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you asked me tomorrow, I might have three others, but those would be
Yeah. No,
be
this is at the
fascinating.
moment, pops in your
And
head.
and honestly, I would probably serve some kind of Mediterranean spread. I love Mediterranean food. I love,
Great food.
I love picking and so everyone can talk. We don't have to get too involved in our meal
Yeah,
and
in our big
exchange ideas.
entrees. I love it.
Yes.
What a great idea. Well, thank you for being an incredible guest and
Thank you
taking
for
the
having
time.
me.
I know people listening want to connect with you. How can they do that?
Mhm. Well, you can go to alifeincaptivity.com, and there you can also see my book, information about my book. I have some sample chapters, and I also have a free Substack email list where I'm publishing about this move to Spain. So people want to just kind of, it's everything from the physical steps that we have to take, the emotional side, it's just a fun story, and that will become my next book.
Next venture, next journey.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
thanks again. And all that information, audience, will be in the show notes. Share this podcast, subscribe to
I
the YouTube
will.
channel, mine or others, because maybe you could change somebody's life and make an impact. They hear this story or they grab the book, because that's her goal. Eliza wants to serve by impacting people with this unique and incredible story. So, with that being said, me and Eliza want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
Bye-bye.